Oh my god, these weeks go by so fast! Welcome to Soundtrack Sunday. With Donkey Kong Country becoming available on Switch, I figured it was only right to finish out the trilogy by talking about the first DKC soundtrack. The game follows Donkey Kong and his best friend Diddy Kong as they set out to recover their stolen banana hoard from none other than King K. Rool. The game's a classic and gives us some classic music, so let's get started. DK Island Swing is, without a doubt, the single most recognized piece of background music in the entire Donkey Kong franchise. Yes, more so than the DK64 rap. It's been remastered and remixed numerous times, but this is the original. Composed of hand drums, horns, and the ambiance sounds of a peaceful jungle, Island Swing starts the game off right. The first level isn't hard by any means and really serves to get you used to the controls, the enemies, and the animal companions. So, with the permission to ease off inciting a mood in the player, the track takes time to encompass the concept of being in a jungle and sets the stage for the rest of the game's soundtrack, which is always focused on augmenting the environment. Okay, so remind me what I just said again? That Donkey Kong Country's soundtrack focuses heavily on augmenting the environment? May I present to you Exhibit B, Cave Dweller Concert. All the sounds in this track echo, which makes perfect sense because, well, you're dwelling in a cave. It's quiet and sounds far off, to give the sense of how deep these caves probably run. Though most of the song is in the background, the ever-present sound of water dropping remains front and center. Those with knowledge of caves know that stalagmites and stalactites form from dripping water. And what do the caves have in them? Stalagmites and stalactites. Oh, this track has layers. Aquatic Ambiance is so well known in the gaming world and beyond that it's even been sampled by the likes of Childish Gambino. I gotta say, just speaking from a personal level, this is rather dramatic for some aquatic music, but if you think about it, it's really kind of brilliant. Donkey Kong is a gorilla, and Diddy Kong is a spider monkey, both of which have no association with water. In fact, neither gorillas nor spider monkeys can actually swim, yet here Donkey and Diddy are, traversing the watery landscape. It's a foreign land to them. What they're exploring is nothing they or any of the other Kongs have ever experienced before. It's an adventure, but a scary adventure nonetheless, so the music sounding slow and almost foreboding makes perfect sense here. Minecart Madness is aptly named. All the minecart levels are on some foolishness. In these levels, you ride and run away minecarts as they go tearing down dilapidated rails. There are no brakes on these carts, and running into anything or falling through one of the many holes in the tracks is an instant death sentence. Not enough for you? In addition to the minecarts and the tracks being a huge danger, you've also got enemies to contend with. Regularly, zingers will settle themselves right in your pathway, and in some cases, Kremlings riding their equally out-of-control minecarts will come barreling towards you at high speed on a suicide mission. Madness really is a very fitting description for the mine levels. I love Forest Frenzy. After tracks like Minecart Madness and Aquatic Ambiance hit you with a sprinkle of fear, it's nice to get back to a track purely designed for the environment again. The forest levels are picturesque pine forests you have to make your monkey way through. They're just great and challenging levels. None of them are crazy hard, but they do claim plenty of lives on the regular. The music does nothing to disrupt the flow of the forest levels. In fact, the song adds to the fun aspect of them. I have very fond memories of these levels simply because of the music, and a moderate hatred of mini neckies for spitting coconuts at me. Makes jumping on them all the more rewarding, if you ask me. The treehouse levels are really interesting, mostly because you're going through a whole treehouse town and never see anybody who lives there. The music is upbeat and has a steady beat to it, which goes along with the fact that, despite the suspicious lack of residents, there's a lot of activity in these levels. You're already navigating the treetop town several feet above ground, but the game also throws plenty of enemies, cannon barrel challenges, and more at you to make falling simultaneously the least and most of your worries. All that while, what I'm assuming is a band of monkeys, because, you know, why not, just grooves on the background music. Alright, we need to talk about Funky Kong. Dude is somehow the raddest and lamest Kong ever at the same time. Sure, he has the vernacular of a surfer, and the attire of one too. He's a hard-working mechanic who's always willing to help his kin, and that makes him cool, right? Wrong! Funky Kong serves very little purpose in the original games. I say original because he has really fun minigames in the Game Boy Advance remakes. He allows you to navigate between the different worlds in both Donkey Kong Country and Donkey Kong Country 2, and builds you transportation in the third game. Sure, he's invaluable in the first two games for people trying to beat the game with 100% completion, and yes, you couldn't get past World 2 without him in the third. But for someone who's this radical and with such a cool theme, you'd expect him to be in on the action. Come on, hit a Kremling with a wrench just one time. Misty Menace is, well, it's menacing. That's because it's so minimal compared to the rest of the soundtrack. It's just ambient sounds of the abandoned mines it plays in. That's it. No tune, no real beat to follow. It's creepy. The levels themselves are generally pretty off-putting too. They're always dark to some degree, and one particular instance of the abandoned mine levels, Stop and Go Station, is home to a level-exclusive enemy, the Rock Croc. They have thick leathery skin that makes them entirely invulnerable, even to barrels, meaning you have to avoid them. Yes, the levels are dangerous and looming, and music like this only makes your imagination run wild with what could possibly be lurking in the darkness. Fear Factory, appropriately, plays in factory levels. Compared to the rest of the soundtrack, this song is decidedly synthetic sounding. That goes perfectly with the factory, which sticks out in the otherwise natural landscape of Donkey Kong Island. The factory levels are not easy, Blackout Basement in particular. The factory world is later in the game, and by this point the game is throwing everything it's got at you. Enemies galore, a frustrating lack of light, burning barrels. These levels can be a waking nightmare if you aren't careful. The song is upbeat and a little aggressive, and that reflects the absolute chaos you go through in the factory. Can you tell I'm jaded? If you've watched my video on Donkey Kong Country 2, you might recognize the beginning of this song as the beginning of Snaky Shanty. This is where Snaky Shanty got its base. Gangplank Galleon is the final boss battle theme against the one and only King K. Rool, the ruler of all the Kremlings. He's big, he's bad, he's got a bulging, bloodshot eye for some unspecified reason. You fight King K. Rool on his pirate ship, the eponymous Gangplank Galleon. The music follows the course of the battle very well, when you consider how the battle goes. King K. Rool fights by trying to slowly ram you, by throwing his crown at you boomerang style, or by dropping cannonballs on your head. Nothing hard, really. In fact, he only takes 7 hits until he's down and the credits roll. Not! As soon as the credits finish rolling, K. Rool promptly pops back up and begins trying to curb stomp you to death. Seriously, the first time you play through, there's 0 warning and 0 time to react. 10 more hits and the Kremling King really takes him out. The music, fittingly, starts off relatively calm and even fun sounding, before transitioning into something a bit more serious, much like the fight. K. Rool played you, and so did the music. Genius. And with that, the Donkey Kong Country trilogy is finished on Soundtrack Saturday, and just in time for DKC to be released on Switch. What'd you think? Let me know down in the comments your favorite track. And thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, do me a favor and throw a barrel at that like button to let YouTube know we're on and popping. And if you haven't subscribed and joined the Penguin Village, ask yourself, why? And until next time, my Kremlin crew, peace.